Hello everyone, my name's Chris and welcome to a new video. This particular video was shot on Thursday the 21st of September 2023, and this is a boat trip going from Folly Bridge to Iffly Lock. It's a 40-minute trip. It's run by a company called Salters Steamers. The price was, if I remember correctly, £12.50, and I think it's worth it. It's very nice. The chap who was, if it's the right term, sailing the boat was very interesting in giving a lot of information about certain spots on the River Thames. On the way back, we asked a few questions. It was something I wanted to do for some time, and I thought, of course, I would film it to allow you to also take the trip. So I hope you like the video. Now, if you're either watching on my website or my YouTube channel, please consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribe to not just my website but to my YouTube channel as well. So enjoy the boat trip, and as we go down I will point out places of interest in relation to the Morse Universe. Okay, so here we go. Enjoy, everyone.
River Isis, as it's known in Oxford. Don't panic, I'm just going to reverse and turn around. We're not going the whole way to Iffly backwards.
That would be interesting.
A flow here, isn't
Yeah, it just picked up sort of mid-afternoon yesterday when the rain started coming. I think they opened a few weirs that they hadn't opened all summer because an awful lot of debris came down the river around about 2:30. Can't get a great deal faster in the winter time. Downstream to Iffly Lock, which is one of the first 3 locks to be built on the Rover Thames. If we carried on through there, it's about another 110 miles to get down to Tower Bridge in London. Going back upstream, the source of the river is just outside of a small town called Kemble, which is pretty much due west of Oxford, and around about 50 miles to the source by river. However, you can only navigate about another 35 miles from Oxford, because after Lechlade it really sort of narrows down and gradually changes from river to stream to ditch to muddy puddle. So there are 45 locks in total on the Thames, so that's between Lechlade, we've got St John's Lock in Lechlade, and Teddington Lock just down in London, round about Richmond area. This stretch of river we're on, this is where rowing as we know today first began. So St John's College, Jesus College and Brasenose College had a couple of rowing boats built for 8 members. Yes, eight rowers and a coxswain, and they had a head-to-head race in 1815. And they raced from Iffly Lock, where we'll be turning, up to a barge that used to be moored up on the meadow here. It was called King's Barge. It was a was owned by a chap called Isaac King. And the races are still run today. They're now called the Summer 8s or May 8s. So they take place towards the end of May. But there's so many crews involved now that it takes 4 days to get through the series of races. There's also ladies as well. And this is the official finish point, the stone on our right, we're just passing. Each day of the races there's 22 or 24, I forget, races, so 2 an hour. And in each race there are 13 boats racing at a time. So the way this is achieved on this narrow, windy bit is the boats are lined up one behind another in the starting area, and they all set off rowing at the same time. The object is to try and catch the boat ahead of you up. So if you catch the boat up in front of you, that means your position will move up one place in the starting order for the following race, and the crew that you caught up will move down one position. And by the end of the week, the overall winner in the final on Saturday evening would be given the title Head of the River for 1 year, and the college would be very, very proud and pleased if they won that. Boat houses are where many of the college clubs operate from. They're on a small island called Boathouse Island. And that island is created by the River Cherwell flowing into the Thames here, and also a man-made cut at the bottom of the line of boathouses. And that's one of the many tributaries of the Thames, flowing down from north of Banbury into the city, winds its way through many of the colleges on the eastern side, past the Botanical Gardens and Magdalen College as well. And that is where you most likely find people punting, as it's a much narrower, calmer bit of river. Prior to the boathouses being built, the clubs would have operated out of barges. You walk past one of the very few remaining ones. It's now used as a houseboat. The barges would have lined both sides of the river here, right up as far as Folly Bridge. There were also a couple of boat hire barges mixed in between them. Around about the 1930s, as the barges decayed, they started to build these boat houses. The newest one, the colleges are built, will be this, and that's the University College Boat House. That was built in, I think, 2008, if I remember. And it replaced a much older building, which I think was 1886. It suffered a fire about a week after plans for a new boathouse were rejected, and the fire just so happened to take place on a day when all the boats had been removed for a day of maintenance elsewhere. So you can draw your own conclusions what went on there. The University Athletics track where Roger Bannister broke his 4-minute mile would be found just the other side of these trees. Not visible from the river, but definitely audible on a day an event is taking place. And we don't see a lot of buildings along the river, purely because the river tends to flood in the winters quite easily. So the surrounding land is very low-lying, so it hasn't been built upon just to allow the river to flood. It does mean that if you're fortunate enough to only live 100 metres away from the river, it's a very short walk down to a nice bit of green space.
This is good.
Water depth up here is not particularly deep. It's about 7 feet on average, I'd say, so just over 2 meters. The minimum depth is 3 feet in these parts, and this is all managed by a set of weirs. So the weirs for this reach are off down past these bridges on sort of headless. That would be why it says danger, because you wouldn't want to be drawn onto those bridges, let alone drawn under them towards the weir. And the weir is essentially just a dam blocking the flow of water, creating a rise in the head level. So without the weir there wouldn't be enough depth to navigate boats up and down. And they would have also provided an opportunity to place or position a water mill. A lot of paper mills present on the Thames in times gone by. But the only remaining mill that still can operate would be found in Mapledurham House, down towards Caversham, Reading, and that operates just to show visitors to the house how a mill works. Only recently local councils and parishes have started to install Archimedes screws on certain weirs, and these generate electricity. They're giant corkscrews, if you like, over 2 meters in diameter, and they carry the water down at an incline, and this in turn rotates the generator. So there's one single screw at Oseney, just west of the railway station, that generates 49 kilowatts per hour. The next one down is in Sanford, and there are 3 or 4 of them installed there side by side. So the one at Oseney is sufficient to power the entire island of Oseney. Couldn't say how many properties, there's probably something in the order of 150 small Victorian terraced houses, so it has a significant impact. So if you can imagine 13 boats all trying to win the same prize, this would be a great place to watch them, because 13 boats all concentrating on going as fast as they can, facing the opposite direction to where they're travelling. There's inevitably quite a few collisions as they go around the bends, but they do try and avoid it, because if there is a collision, the race will immediately be scratched. More boat clubs down here. These are independent of the university. They're local clubs for local people and surrounding areas. First one here is Falcon Rowing and Canoe Club, which is claimed to be one of the oldest Upper Thames rowing clubs. And beyond the bridge is a City Box Rowing Club, which is where Sir Steve Redgrave rowed out from. Just tucked up here behind the willows, this is one of the very few remaining college barges which I mentioned earlier. So that one is used as a houseboat, used to belong to Corpus Christi, and was built by Salter Brothers for the college, I think, in 1882. Salter Brothers themselves, first boating business they started was down in London, Wandsworth, London, on the mouth of the River Wandle. They operated a club there from around 1825, and then they moved up to Oxford in 1858, or whichever year the big sting was in London. So Parliament also moved up to Oxford temporarily that summer. Family has provided much of the boating needs of Oxford since that time. They built the greatest number of winning race boat shells for the boat race, Oxford Cambridge boat race, and were very successful sports boat builders. And this is their boatyard. years now. The first passenger boat they built came out there in 1901, and that's still running. It's out on the charter this afternoon. The boat that we boarded across, she was built in 1913. And they've all been working every year since they came out the yard. So this area now is where the summer eights would begin. So the coxswains hold on to a piece of string which is attached to the bank, and that's called a bung line. So bung line 1 is round about here, and bung line 13 is down where we'll be turning, more or less. And there's a couple of cannon placed in the field on the right hand side during race week, and they are used to signal the near start and the start of any race. So 5 minutes before a race begins they'll fire a shot, then another 1 minute before the race begins, and the final shot is fired to signal the beginning of the race. And spectators all the way up as far as Folly Bridge will be able to hear these shots, so they'll know when to expect whichever crew they're supporting to come past, hopefully, if they haven't been bumped out beforehand. Line's main purpose is to stop the crews edging forward or getting blown forward before the race begins, which would be a bit of an unfair disadvantage if no one noticed. Boathouse we will be passing this afternoon will be this building here on the right. This is home to the rowing club for the Oxford Academicals. If you were involved in teaching in Oxford or at the university, you would, and also liked to row, this is the club you would join. The building has been sold recently. It was asking £1 million for it, but it was long before a couple of colleges started a bidding war, and I've been told it went for £8 million about 2 weeks ago in the end. So they both really wanted their own rowing club. £8 million. Yeah. And the house next door, that was for sale at the same time. The boards came down very shortly afterwards, so maybe they bought both properties and that's how much it totaled. And this lovely riverside pub, the Isis Farmhouse, one of 8 riverside pubs in Oxford, waterside pubs, but this one is only accessible by footpath or river. And it was up until 1979 when they were still delivering beer by punt across the river. There's now a small service track that's been built. But yes, it was originally a farmhouse, but it wasn't long after rowing became a bit of a recreation in Oxford that they realised they could make much more money selling pints rather than corn. Just ahead of us up in the trees, that's Iffly Village. We can't really see it from here, but the church of Iffly Village was it was built by the Normans originally, and much of that still remains. However, right now it is the finest example of Romanesque architecture in the country. Very ornate carved arches and windows and intricate brickwork. There is a yew tree in the churchyard of St Mary's Church, and you can step inside that tree. Beneath your feet it is now concreted, but back in the days of Charles Dodson, or better known as Lewis Carroll, the concrete wasn't there, but a great amount of exposed roots were visible due to rabbit excavations, and that was the inspiration for Alice falling down the rabbit hole. quite a few bits of connection up and down the river between here and Abingdon, or Port Meadow should I say, which is where he used to like going out for picnics or going out rowing for the day. And indeed going this way rather than going through the lock, he would have hopped out of his skiff and dragged it over that set of rollers behind us. You tend to find rollers next to locks where rowing is a very popular thing to do in Victorian times. So Bolter's Lock down in Maidenhead and a few other locations, and these help save water in the summer months, as that's one of the smallest locks on the Upper Thames, but even that alone uses over 250,000 litres of water down into the next reef. So rowers and canoeists are encouraged to use the rollers in the summer. And a pretty little bridge and landing place there, that was where the very first boat race started from. So the bronze head of the bull, that was the starting ring, if you like. The Mayor of Oxford used to start the races off every year with smashing a bottle of champagne on the bridge, but that didn't last very long as they realised he was damaging the bridge and also wasting very good champagne. Thames, you're permitted to moor up for up to 3 days generally, or sometimes 2 in certain areas where you like, but you're meant to move on. However, you have probably noticed a lot of boats that look like they either haven't moved for a long time or totally incapable of moving. So, yeah, so different colleges own much of the path or riverbank here in Oxford, so they tend to let people get on with their lives and live there. It does look a bit scruffy, but yes, they wouldn't be paying anything. But that said, there are no facilities. You know, where they get their water from will be, see quite a lot of them, people occupying the boats with trailers on their bikes, and they probably go round to a friend's or their place of work and fill up with water. And there are 1 or 2 fuel boats that pass through Oxford a few times a year, so that would serve their fuel needs generally. And there are 2 or 3 marinas sort of located sort of locally. There's one up on Port Meadow and a couple just off the Botley Road, sort of just west of the city centre. Yourself? Seeing your jacket that you might possibly...
Well, more like the weather.
Well, very wise. Are you in Oxford on your boat? Or?
No. We came on the boat trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice. Ended up in Norfolk.
Oh, right, yeah. Is it a sailing boat or a motorboat?
A cruiser.
Cruiser.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're probably very familiar with the sights of boats like this.
Yeah.
the classic Bermuda, I think this one's called, but yeah, these are built top on the Norfolk Broads. I think that this one's been going since the 1970s and was originally built as a hire boat. It's been tripping for about 25 years now.
Well, they go on forever, don't
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a shame there's never been a log kept of every voyage, but I'm sure she's been a few times around the world, or equivalent of. I think this is the 5th engine she's had in her life. But she, is working nearly every day of the summer.
they? Yeah, they don't do an awful lot of work, do they?
No, not really. Yeah, just keep the weed filters clear and head a tank full and the oil at the proper level. Just
Yeah, away you go.
Go on. I mean, it's not often you see people losing land on the river. They're normally trying to discreetly acquire land.
Quite a few of the boats look abandoned.
Yes,
Well,
there's quite a few.
is there never any attempt to remove them before they become a danger?
It's the responsibility of the riparian landowner to
Right.
ask them to move. If they're not upsetting the landowner and they don't complain, they generally
Yeah.
are allowed to stay.
Because I imagine the cost would be rather prohibitive to try and
Right.
get them out of the water, etc.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Like this
few
one
that
here
obviously-
on your left,
Oh,
small one.
Yeah, no, that was submerged for a good few months, maybe a year or so.
Right.
One of the local boaters managed to raise it up, as same with the barge down there,
Right.
and the boat stuck under the bridge.
Yes, I noticed that one of the weir.
One more up there that he's made some attempts, but as of yet it's not up yet. But this boat behind the submerged, you can see the lovely clean bit of window frame. So
Yes.
chap, I think it's just bought that and just had a go at cleaning it up. So,
Ah,
I mean,
right.
with a bit
Okay.
of elbow grease, that'll look
Yes.
like a very nice boat again.
It's a nice way of life. I would like to try it, but I don't think I could do it for a long time.
Oh, living
To stay
aboard.
on, on a boat for, I don't. I
Well,
would.
as I say, no services down here, so
It'd be
the
difficult.
logistics of managing your grey water, black water, and fresh water will have to be well thought out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, if the river floods, we're in a pretty precarious position moored up on this bank. If you don't attend your boat, that's how the other boats managed to sink.
Of course.
The lines weren't released, so when the boat went up, it got pulled across onto the bank, and then the water goes down and it tips up and fills with water.
Yes. Because they would must rot if it's not tended to and treated. The boats must, the wooden parts of the boat must rot if they're not tended to and protected.
Yeah, well, they do need,
A lot of maintenance, I imagine. Is this the one you were talking about, the submerged one to your left?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was the roof is caved in because it was about, well, maybe about 5 meters away from the bank initially. So
Right.
quite a few boats go over the top of it
Oof.
when it was down below the water. Yeah, it wasn't visible at all. But he's dragged it across, and I'd say when he's next in Oxford,
You've
he'll
sorted
get
it
his
out.
polythene and wooden battens and his big pump out the water quicker than it can get back in.
Wow. Sounds like a big job.
So just as we're coming back, if you sort of look through the trees, we'll be able to see the top of Magdalen College Tower. That's where the choir of the college sing from every May morning, every 1st of May at 6 a.m. This is Christchurch Meadows, lovely park over Christchurch. We do have a herd of longhorn cattle that graze there. site of the first Englishman to ever ascend in a hot air balloon. No one ever mentions him coming down again, and his plaque commemorating the journey is placed on an avenue up there called Dead Man's Walk. There is no connection there. That is a very old neighbourhood path that went along there outside the original city wall, and it was where families would walk their lost relatives out to the burial grounds beyond the wall.
So there we are. I hope you enjoyed that little boat ride down the River Thames, and I was very fortunate with the weather. It was a lovely day, lovely warm day. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, not only on my website but my YouTube channel as well, and if you can find the time or wish to do so, please subscribe, again not just to my website but also to my YouTube channel. So until the next video or the next post on my website, take care and I'll see you again soon.